Okay. Are you ready?
Welcome to Rainbow Soulstrology, a weekly podcast presented by Brighthawk and Hollis Taylor. Together, we lay out the weekly astrology in an accessible, inclusive, candid, and insightful way and what it means for you. Hollis is amazing. They're a seasoned astrologer and psychic medium. I'm a musician, artist, and storyteller. We love to make the cosmos relatable, which is why we begin by tuning in with a guided meditation, helping all of us ground and center and feel the planetary energies of the week more deeply. Then we dive into this week's astrological forecast, answer your questions, and then look at the horoscopes for all the signs for the week. Whether you're brand new to astrology or you've been following the stars for years, welcome to the conversation. Welcome to Rainbow Soulstrology. Let's get centered, take a breath, and explore what the universe has in store for us.
Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Hello, we are under there somewhere. How's everyone doing today? I hope that you are navigating these very intense astrological times. It's definitely some intense times here. And with the eclipse, there was a lunar eclipse a week or so back, maybe 2 weeks now, in Pisces. And here we are and headed towards the solar eclipse on the 21st. And so we're kind of in between the eclipses, and most astrologers would call this eclipse season. Mostly I hear Ann Ortley referring to it as eclipse season, but I'm sure there's other astrologers that do too. And the eclipse season oftentimes is a process of change. Um, truly today, um, you know, um, there was lots of changes in my life already today, and it's happening very fast and hard for me to keep up, but I'm doing my best. I hope you're doing your best too. Depending on your personal placements, whether you have Virgo and Pisces placements or not, you may or may not be experiencing some changes. So it will depend. But I would say for the strongest of us, will probably be Virgo sun. So if your birthday is in Virgo season or Pisces season, or if you're a Virgo rising, Pisces rising, or moon, Virgo, Pisces, moon, I'd say it's probably most intense for those people. It could be also intense for the signs in a square to it, but I think it will be less intense. So if you have placements, strong placements in those signs, you're feeling it right now. And if you don't know your chart, I just want to encourage you to go ahead to our website, my website here, and go. If you just actually, you don't even have to go. If you just go to divineandrogen.com, I just was updating my website. If you just scroll down a little bit, there's a big, huge picture, and it says something about learn to read your chart. And it's just for basic, it's just a couple bucks. It's a guide to show you how to get your astrology chart, how to figure out your sun, moon, and rising, and what those mean. What those, it's not an in-depth reading or anything. It's mostly just to help you get started. So while you're watching these kinds of broadcasts, one of the best ways to learn is to have the chart in front of you, have your own chart in front of you, maybe have a journal where you can write down what you were going through and what transits you think they were. Okay. And listen to me during the broadcast, because I will try, Brighthawk and I do try to teach while we're doing the broadcast. So we'll say this could mean this if you have Pisces or Virgo placements. Okay, it could do this for you or something like that. Okay, so we'll try to tell you what to look for in your chart. There are lots of cheat sheets out there. If you get our 101 class, it's actually really powerful. Comes with cheat sheets, tells you how to, tells you what all the little symbols mean. And like I always say, astrology is a completely different language. So if you feel overwhelmed, it's okay. All right. So Brighthawk, did you want to say anything about this week's being in eclipse season or anything like that?
Well, it's just that it's a very fated chart this week. We don't have a lot of big void moons, but we do have two fingers of God, which we'll get to towards the end of the week. We're coming into, of course, fall equinox lands the same day, which doesn't always happen. Fall equinox and the solar eclipse, same day. So we have a lot to talk about. So let's get to it. But before we do, let's start with some music and a meditation, kind of get us all in the space for listening and hearing the deeper wisdom for ourselves. And if you can let us know if we're still definitely working out the technical bits, and that includes the fact that we're in the same room but on two different computers. So if the sound is an issue, please let us know. Can you hear me? Can you hear the instrument? Can you hear Hollis? A thumbs up lets us know we're on track. Thanks.
All right, take a deep breath. Hopefully you can hear me now. And as you're, just close your eyes and let that tension just flow off your back. Now, as you become present in the here and now, with your eyes closed and your body present in you, take a walk in the beautiful forest. With beautiful fall leaves, the colors of the trees just starting to turn. And as you're looking around, you recognize that we are approaching the equinox, the autumnal or fall equinox. And in this, you realize you start to realize how the balance of things are. You start to realize that as the sun begins to set off in the field in front of you, that there are now equal day and equal night. And you recognize the balance in all things. And as you stand on the edge of the field and you look out, you see plants covered with squash, ready to be picked. Pumpkins, apples on trees, on the edges. And slowly, as you stare up into the sky, the sun is beating down on the field with all the plants, bringing in the harvest of the equinox. The harvest of the equinox is before you. And in this moment, in the rarest moment ever, slowly the moon begins to move across the sun. Just as the blackness peaks over top of the sun, you are watching the moon slowly move in front of the sun. And in this moment, you can feel the energy of the forest shifting, the energy within you shifting. And as life shifts for you, you know that this eclipse and this equinox is much larger and much bigger than anything you could be prepared for or understand. And as the moon finishes its passage in front of the sun, as it begins to allow the sunlight to shine through again, you recognize that this shift is of divine importance, and that all that is revealed in this time is destined, perfectly as imperfect as it is, just as it is meant to be. And as the sun continues setting and the moon finishes its pass, the moon disappears into the sky again, and the sun's colors begin to reflect, creating a beautiful sunset before you. You can hear the whispers of the forest, the whispers of the Virgo goddess speaking to you. No doubt, the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. And now, as you come back into yourself, back into your presence, wiggle your toes, feel your bottom on the seat, and come back to the here and now. Open your eyes and welcome to Rainbow Soulstrology Forecast.
Thank you.
Wow,
I hope that worked.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Bright Hawk. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Okay, so I tried to do the sound, and Bright Hawk's computer was like editing the sound badly there for a minute. It was like
My
doing
apologies if the settings were messed up.
It's the echo cancellation. The handpan confuses the computer. And
Oh,
echo
yes.
cancellation. Hopefully I'm not echoing in the background. I might be.
Do you need me to cancel that now?
Yeah, just mute you. There you go. So then that will take care of it. If I just mute you, it's fine. Okay, so hopefully it fixed it in the end. Did it fix it in the end, Cheryl and Sarah? I could see your messages. I just didn't want to interrupt the meditation for it. So as you could see, we're having a very rare event. So I think we should get to talking about it. But I think the most important thing to understand, Sarah says, yeah, it did get better. Okay, good. Once I fixed it, it got better, I think, because I could hear it on my headphones. So, all right, so let's add Bright Hawks. Let's take down this little banner and add this. And So we're talking about today, of course. The other thing you might be noticing if you do have Virgo placements, things might be coming up from the past. Definitely some communications coming through today. Mercury's in Virgo, so it's traveling with the sun. It's already been Cazimi a couple days last week. It was traveling directly behind the sun, which kind of it can kind of create some communication blurps, which is exactly what we've seen about, um, murders and other things like that. We've seen, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of communication issues online, which of course creates lots of more separation as if we needed that, right? And um, but Mercury, the other thing that I was also considering was that, Mercury in Virgo, the shadow of Virgo is judgment. Um, and judgment is often not always the best part of Virgo. Sometimes it can be good. Like, there's some things you have to judge. Like, you have to make a judgment if someone's good for you or not. You have to make a judgment on, is this person healthy? Is this healthy for me? You have to judge food, land, all kinds of things. So sometimes judgment is necessary, but of course it can be taken too far when it's out of balance. Um, and of course, we had some people severely judging people. And I think that's what we were seeing, like people losing their jobs and people saying really cruel things and mean things. That can be Virgo in its shadow. So everything you've seen there, that was Mercury, Sun, Cazimi. And that was both of them together, and it can kind of combust. I watched Ann Ortley is a astrologer, and her Facebook page totally blew up because of something she said, and I think she's a Virgo. um and so I can imagine that that was pretty difficult for her. I know that I personally have had a lot of people from the past come back, and I know Bright Hawk has too, and she has a Virgo rising. So this kind of theme happening to you, if you're noticing this, you probably have a Virgo placement if you didn't know that. If you're not experiencing those things, it's probably because you're not a Virgo. Okay. And so it's a little bit quieter, but you have been watching what's happening, right? I mean, even if you're not a Virgo, you've been looking around and going, gosh, why is everybody being so judgy and mean to each other? Good grief. They probably have a Virgo placement. Okay. And they probably said something. Maybe they were having a bad day, or they just said something that was out of wackadoodle. And we all do it. We all sometimes say things that we're like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that, right? I mean, how many of us have done that? I've done it. So I know that's really hard. And also, today, the other thing is that Mercury is coming into a perfect opposition to that Saturn retrograde in Pisces. It's not yet, but it will be probably in a couple of days. But there's a lot of things opposite going on with Pisces and Virgo, that whole axis. If you have anything in those placements in Virgo or Pisces, it's probably pretty challenging for you right now. And I would say if you have any Sagittarius or Gemini, you might have a few challenges, but it probably won't be completely out of this world. It'll be a solvable problem, is what I'm saying. And the good news is that there's lots of other trines in the world trying to bring things together in a good way. I do see that grand trine in air trying to happen. But I think
It happens
sorry,
later in the week.
it happens later in the week. Okay, I see.
Don't tell
Probably.
the headline.
Okay, probably when Mercury. As I said, I'm having a rough day. Okay, so Bright Hawk, I see the moon is in Cancer with Jupiter, right?
Right. So when the moon is in Cancer, of course, it's come home, and you know what it feels like when you come home. You're very relaxed. Moon is happy in Cancer. If you have Cancer placements, you should get a moon apps because your mood is probably changing about every 2.5 days, which is how long it takes for the moon to pass through the zodiac. So the Cancer moon is going to conjunct the Jupiter, and of course Jupiter makes everything bigger. So when you have emotional moon combined with Jupiter in Cancer, it's going to amplify things like loyalties. Cancer is about patriotism, so we've seen some of that rear its head. It's about home and family. Cancer's very much carries it's a crab, who carries its home on its back, but in the inside is soft and gooey. So Cancer and Jupiter, when they conjunct, is just going to amplify the emotional field. And the nice thing is that they're in a trine to the North Node, and they're positively aspected. So that always feels good. And Chiron plays an interesting role this week in a very faded way. The aspects to Chiron this week just speak to unexpected healings, things that it's time. That's what eclipses do. It's time. This is going to change right now. So as we're building towards this lunar eclipse on Sunday, pay attention to what's showing up in your life. Are there themes that are revisiting? With the moon, of course, is shedding, because we're going towards a new moon. So when the moon is shedding, we're letting go what needs to be let go of, cleaned up, taken, I never did finish that off. I'm going to finish that off. Things like that. And the other big headline of the day is Venus sextile Mars, which is very sexy. Sextiles are sexy. Venus and Mars, the ultimate female energy and the ultimate masculine energy. And it's trining Chiron. So may it be a wonderful, beautiful, healing time with your beloved. And don't do anything surprising. Just love on each other. No surprises. Uranus is going to take care of all of the surprises. I don't recommend you do any. So just saying. But we have,
Don't stir the pot.
Right? Just don't. Just, Okay, so let's talk about Tuesday.
Somebody tie me down. All right. So then when we take a look at Tuesday, there's actually that opposition between Mars and Chiron is even more intense. I think it's even more intense on Tuesday. So that's really going to be about relationships, making movement, not just love relationships, but it could be other relationships as well. Chiron in Aries, and it's retrograde right now. That is really, I was just actually been looking at this axis because I'm helping. Actually, my granddaughter has this pool between Aries and Libra, and Libra is very much about relationships, and Mars is the ruler of Aries. And I feel like Mars is really like, go, 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 go get it, right? Okay. And that's the Mars part. But Libra is not really like that. Libra's kind of like, hey, are we all going together? What can we do to cooperate to get there? Who's driving? Who's riding in? Okay. And it literally, Libra is going to try to get everyone to cooperate. It's going to try to make sure everyone's included. Where Aries is not, it's not that they're, hard-headed or whatever. It's just that Aries tends to just kind of go and get. It tends to just go. And it doesn't mean that they're, self-centered. It just means they haven't thought through relationships. Now, sometimes this can be really good for a soul because they because the shadow side of Libra is to do too much for others. to give too much. So this axis between Mars in Libra, Libra is very much out of balance, right? Okay. So that's like the Libra thing. And when Mars is there, it's not real happy there because it's in its opposite place. It's like opposite in the sky of where it belongs, where it's most comfortable in, which is Aries. And and Aries just wants to go and doesn't know why we have to wait for everyone else. Okay. And why do we have to improve on relationships? And this is a really hard place to be because, of course, we all know that there's a balance between those two things. There's a balance between how much you give in relationship and how much you take care of yourself and put yourself forward. And that's a hard balance to find for most adults, right? Most of us struggle with this. Most of us struggle with understanding how we make relationships with others work and how do we balance our needs with that. And so I want to say, if you're wondering how you balance it, I myself, I have a Libra moon, and I'll fully admit I will just not even consciously think of it, but I will think of myself last. I just did it with Bright Hawk's show. I thought all about her things and everything that she needed. I didn't even think about myself, even though I knew it was something that I needed for my show. So we're doing a show this weekend called Body Mind Spirit Expo. So this is an example of what a Libra will do, and a Libra will just kind of be like, oh, and it's more like a don't, like we don't intentionally push ourselves to the side. We just naturally think of others first because we want to support other people. Relationships are very important to us, especially if you're like me and you have a Libra moon. If you're a Libra sun or a Libra rising, this is very important to you. While Aries is very independent, very much about going forward and very much about taking care of themselves. So be aware with Chiron retrograde in Aries, that speaks to the shadow of Aries, which is a little bit more of like the shadow of it, which is like, self-centeredness, um taking off and not having enough stamina to keep it going. You haven't thought it through. Okay. And I have placements in Aries myself. I have Jupiter there, and I've done it. I have Chiron in Aries. I will constantly screw myself because I didn't think it through all the way. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why do I keep doing that? And that's why I keep doing that. Okay. Because I have placements in Aries. So when you have placements in Aries, sometimes you might catch yourself like taking off and you just do things, right? And so with the Mars in Libra, this is about starting to focus on wait. How do we find that balance? And with Chiron and Mars in a conversation like that this week, this really speaks to how can we balance relationship? How can we balance how much we give and how much we take and how fast we go forward? Because Aries tends to be very fast, and sometimes that's really good. Sometimes it's really good. Like you want to be the first one taken off if you're in a race. And that's why Aries make great athletes. Aries are really, if you have a lot of Aries placements, I suggest you exercise. If you're not exercising, that's probably why you have anxiety or depression. Okay. Aries needs to exercise. Needs. It is a necessary. And Libra needs relationships. They need friends. They need lovers. They need children. They need family around them. Libra must have the support of relationships around them of some sort. And I would say that's true. Even for me, is one of the reasons I think I felt so sort of traumatized by my family was because it seemed like none of them wanted me. And I was very sort of pushed away in my family. With I'm talking about my family of origin, the people that I grew up with, that would be like my mother and my brothers and such. And that was a difficult, that was a difficult thing to navigate. And then as I got older and I had my son, and I still recognize that I still need those people in my life. I always need people in my life. thrive in relationships. I will do better when I have relationships with people. Okay. So if you're looking at your relationships with people or trying to deal with that balance between Aries and Libra or something like that, be aware that that's in the stars. And there is something for you to figure out there. It's definitely something that you're working on. And I hope that you find ease with it. Because I will say that Mars in Libra is not exactly the most comfortable placement. And since it's in opposition to Chiron there in Aries, I'm not sure that's super comfortable. Okay. And the other transits going on, it is part of a T square I see there with the moon in Cancer, which is at 26 degrees. What's this 5:55 on Tuesday? So interesting that you got it perfectly there, Bright Hawk. On Tuesday, and you got that T square going on there. So I would say that Tuesday evening there could be some emotional stuff in regards to this, or maybe you figure it out. Maybe you find the resolution by Tuesday evening, I would say. Definitely for sure. Because a T square, while it's hard and challenging, it's also about finding the resolution. All right. Did you want to add anything about that Cancer moon, Bright Hawk?
I think you kind of covered it. Um, the rule for me that I have about void of course moons, and of course that's the transition, that's the name. I didn't make it up. It's called a void of course. It's when the moon is about to transition from one sign to the other. And right now you see the moon is heavily aspected. On the next day, it's not. But if the void of course moon is just 10 minutes or less or something like that, I don't include it on the chart. I try to, if it's like more than an hour, you'll see there's one that's I think an hour and a half. Um, if you recall, we had a void of course moon the day before the lunar eclipse that lasted all day. So this time we don't have those long ones, we have shorter ones, but the moon is in some major aspects with the conjunctions and of course Jupiter. We've talked about it. So yeah, I think you've kind of covered that. We can move on to Wednesday. Although I do want to acknowledge some of the comments. And Cheryl was saying Jupiter and Cancer. Yeah, that Jupiter and Cancer, you're going to feel it for sure. And take the time to make wishes, especially wishes relative to your home. And even if your wishes are speaking gratitude for what you have. So, of course, Cancer, the first thing I think is, I'm so thankful for my home. I'm so thankful I live in a peaceful, safe sanctuary surrounded by nature. Um, the most powerful way to make a wish is to see it already done. It's already it's happened. So Jupiter always asks what you want. And of course, we can put out what we want, or we can put it out in a way of faith where we trust that the universe knows better than we do. I give it up to you. Thank you for. And I, of course, love to remind folks that my book, The Dancing Hippo, one of the little memes is, I'm willing to be delightfully surprised by how sweet this life can be. What are you willing to be? That's the question. What are you willing to be? So I like to say I'm willing to be delightfully surprised. We have a lot of Uranian energy. It's that minor grand trine. The minor trine has been in play for months now, over a month. It's going to continue to be in play with Uranus, Pluto, and of course Saturn, Neptune traveling together. But one's foot is still in Aries and Saturn's now in Pisces. So the flavor of that trine has changed a little bit. But boy, yeah, that Jupiter moon conjunction in Cancer. Those of you with Cancerian placements, have a good time. Make good wishes. Use affirmations for sure. Yeah. And do you want to address some of the questions, Hollis?
So one of the questions is that first of all, John Clark said, I know a little about astrology. I read tarot. John, do you read tarot or oracle cards? Those are two different things. And the relationship between tarot and astrology, I would say, well, I guess it depends on what tarot cards you have. I mean, I have tarot cards that actually have astrology symbols on them. And that helps me with the timing of things. So, in other words, if I get a card that shows you're going to meet somebody, right? Okay. And so I'm pretty sure you're going to meet this person. It might have some astrology symbology on it that would help me hone in the timing of that. Um, so okay, so John says tarot I mainly work with Rider Waite and sometimes Thoth. Okay, so Rider Waite is great in that, and if you look, there are actually decks with like little astrology symbols on it. I have a French deck that has that. I would show it, but I can't because it's an erotic deck. So but I use it for relationships. It's really good for that. And in France it would be no big deal, but here in the United States it probably is, so I won't show it online. But it has like little like elemental, so you want to think about like um the elements, and astrology also has elements like all four elements are represented, but the zodiacs are separated into different elements, and then of course the planets are often seen as different sort of elements, or also like dryness or wet or whatever. So there's also that. So there is some relationship between the two. A lot of people that do one do both. Okay. um and I just want to come back to um love that I need to get a okay. I think Cheryl is saying that she needs to book a reading for her children. And Cheryl, thanks for saying over in the group that you are enjoying the astrology course from Bright Hawk and I. Um, Cheryl's chosen to learn astrology from me and Bright Hawk. So she has the 101 astrology 101 class that is pretty big. And it's, a video and cheat sheets, and you can go at your own pace, so you can really kind of get down the basics and learn, because that's really where it starts. Is if you get down the basics, you can start adding on different types. Like I started to add on death astrology, medical astrology, and synastry, which is relationships. And so then when you start to add those kinds of things, you could come up with your own styles. And the more you grow in astrology, the more your own style will emerge, just like any other form of divination. But I will say, out of all the forms of divination I've ever used, which is all of them, I think, I can't think of any I haven't used. Oh, I haven't really used divining rods that much. I used them. I didn't really like them, and I just put them down. But I have used runes. I've used pendulums. I'm not really comfortable with pendulums because I don't trust that I'm not moving it. I just can't do it. And tarot is okay, but hasn't always been accurate for me. But I find that the most accurate thing I've ever used is astrology, hands down, no doubt in my mind, absolutely, period, end of story. So I frankly, but you don't. It takes a while to kind of learn that. Okay. Um, so Alyssa says, okay, Alyssa, you have two yods, and I know that you have a lot of intensity going right now. Because you're like I know you have like Pisces placements, and you got a nodal return, and so that's a lot. Sure, John. The course is a 5-part course. You can actually, I had a 50% coupon up, just a little bit more. I'll put it back up for you. There it is. If you go to my website, and you don't even have to go to shop-2. You can just go to divineandrogen.com and scroll down, and it'll say, Western Astrology 101. And essentially it's like 5 video, and each video is like an hour or so. And each one of those videos also comes with cheat sheets. So, like little sheets that tell you, this symbol means this zodiac is this, and just sort of like something to use as you're learning to read, like little reference sheets so you can learn what the symbology means. And then Braid Hawk and I break it down. We start with basic chart navigation, and we break down all the zodiacs, we break down all the planets, and we talk about aspects and learning how to read your chart. There also comes with 2 coaching sessions with me. So in other words, you get 2 free coaching sessions. You'll get a code in the email that you get in regards to this. Once you order it, you get like an email, and it will have a code for you to order this. Okay. And you'll be able to purchase that. It's a nice package that we've put together. I'm actually probably going to put it on some other platforms actually here pretty soon. So description for the video. Could you add these links to the description for the video? Well, you could, yeah, my website is in the description. Divineandrogen.com is already there. So if you just go to my website, you'll find it. Okay. All right. So let's continue on with our thing here. Let's see. And so now we're on Wednesday. So for Wednesday, what I was noticing about Wednesday is that Yod really starts to light up down there, pointing at that 28-degree Saturn. And it's also retrograde Mercury in Virgo, which, as I said, with it being opposite Saturn in Pisces, and Saturn's retrograde in Pisces right now, that's probably going to be a fairly difficult day. And it might be definitely going to have something to do with the system or how you do things. Could definitely have to do with our government. Could definitely have to do with something happening on a world stage that is difficult, especially with communication and what people are saying and doing and what that kind of looks like. The good news is that Venus and Mars are in a sextile, but I think pointing at that Yod is very difficult. I feel like the system is going to make it very hard for us to come together. And that will be difficult, but I encourage you to tap into the meditation, because there is a kite happening at that time. So for your own personal life, what I would say about that is the best thing to do is to tap into your spirituality, your transformation, and what you know is true. Take a look and see where Gemini is in your chart, particularly where Gemini begins at the early degrees Uranus, because Uranus is transiting there, and the beginning of Aquarius, because Pluto is transiting there. And both of those are in a trine with each other. And this is about surprises and changes and transformations, changes that could happen. So while this could be a challenging thing, I'm going to say challenging day on Wednesday, I would say that grand trine perfecting like that is going to there is a positive sort of way that it's pushing us. And sometimes hard things have to happen in order for good things to happen, right? So I would really tap into that energy of Uranus and Pluto in Gemini and Aquarius. Check out where Gemini and Aquarius start in your chart, because that's where those planets are. If you have anything in the first 0 or 1 degrees of Gemini or Aquarius, Gemini or Aquarius, if you have anything there, it could be a little bit challenging for you, but it would probably also bring a blessing. So if you don't have anything there, I still want you to look and see what house that's in. And that's the area that you probably need to shift your focus to. So that way you can tap into the positive energies of this transit on Wednesday, because there definitely will be a lot of faded energy on Wednesday, like I think Bright Hawk has already mentioned. So I'm just mentioning that again. And a Thursday looks like it looks like most of this really intense kite is really happening Wednesday and Thursday. It looks like that's the intensity with Saturn and Pisces going backwards. Like I always explain Saturn, Saturn is about the system. It is about the buildings. It's about the government. It's about how things run in your life. And let me just say that it's in Pisces. So this is very, very much about this is very much like Saturn retrograde in Pisces. So first of all, when Saturn's in Pisces, it's almost like you built a sandcastle, but the ocean comes up and washes it away or starts to wear off at it on one side of your sandcastle because the waves keep coming in, because Pisces is the ocean of emotion. And so when we have these two very almost opposite things together, it can kind of create um something that we're just watching our government get washed away. So we could still continue to feel like that. If you've been feeling like that, you could continue to watch that. And with Saturn retrograde, we're probably reviewing that feeling, reviewing, like you feel like you've gone back and like you almost feel like you want to say, didn't we already deal with this? Oh man. So if you're feeling like that, if you're feeling like, gosh, I thought we already did this. This is annoying. That's Saturn retrograde in Pisces. And it's going to be going on for a little while. It will go direct a little bit later on. Neptune will join it. I'm glad that it's the Saturn and Neptune have separated in the last few weeks, because that will start to bring things to the light. It will start revealing things to us. We'll start recognizing things and seeing things. So yeah. So, Alyssa, I feel for you. Alyssa's saying that she already has a difficult day on Wednesday, but meetings with the kids, schools, and all that. Oh, yeah. And Saturn is totally the school system, Alyssa. And, we've already had some emotional eruptions in school systems with shootings since Saturn has been in Pisces. That is emotions in systems, right? The system is very emotional right now, in case you haven't noticed. I'm not sure. Saturn in Pisces sometimes feels just as difficult to me as Saturn in Aries, because Aries just wants to go forward, and that's how we get to war sometimes. So, that it just wants, because Aries is the ruler of war, right? Um, Aries is the warrior. It is the one fighting, for good or bad, doesn't matter, but that's Aries. It's fighting. Okay, that's fight. Those are fighting words, right? Okay, so that's Aries in itself. So I just hope that you could recognize that Wednesday, Thursday will be particularly intense. And I think that would probably carry off. It looks like it's going to carry on into Friday, but that it will start to separate better as Venus moves into Virgo on Friday. So I still see that they're both in conjunct. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have some major issues this week with our government. We could have some challenging things around the government and the system and things like that. But I think by the weekend it will start to simmer down. It looks like by the weekend it starts to simmer down. And I noticed, though, that Venus moves into Virgo on Thursday. Right? Yeah, Thursday. It's Friday. I can't decide. It will kind of do a little dance with the moon. Venus will move into Virgo on Friday. And that, I think that will kind of help start to bring things down, because Venus will be moving out of Leo and more into Virgo, where I don't think that Venus is particularly strong or weak in Virgo. But I think oh, it is in its fall. Venus is in its fall. So it could, this could have a lot to do with like the planet, environmental, um, like environmental things. We want to start thinking about that. And maybe there could be some downfall of that kind of is not good for humanity as a whole in your life. This would mean that maybe there could be something around taking care of yourself, about self-care, about health, um, or even about others' health, or other people taking care of themselves. And Venus in Virgo is in its fall. So so there's two different ways that a planet, when we talk about extension, when we talk about essential dignities. And Virgo in detriment is kind of more like, I always explain it like this: when it's in detriment, it's probably not really strong, and it's kind of not really in a strong placement. And that's Mars in Libra. Okay. But when it's in its fall, it's almost as if it's like your Achilles tendon. It's like something that you actually do that's not good for you. This is like self-sabotage. Okay? And so that's why I'm saying we could be start to get in touch with things that we don't take care of ourselves, or we're not doing well about, or whatever that is going on starting on Friday. Because Venus is going to move out of Leo and into Virgo. So, Brighthawk, did you want to talk about the moon's transit this week?
Yes, and I wanted to talk about how the moon. So, if you look at that chart on Friday, you'll start to see there's some strong blue lines and some strong green lines. What does that mean? Well, those blue lines are trines. Trines are blessings from the universe, kisses. Mwah, 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 mwah. And it means when it's a grand trine that everybody's in the same element. So the element in this case is air. So what are you thinking about? Has your thinking changed recently, especially with the eclipse energy? Suddenly you might be thinking differently than you did before. The other thing that's happening is that, and they get stronger as the weekend goes on, is that those green lines are called an inconjunct. So we've talked about the difficulty of an opposition, right? They're 180 degrees apart from each other, they're opposite. An inconjunct is move over one house, 150 degrees. It's a very fated degree. It doesn't, there's not a lot you can do. So I noticed Alyssa said that they have two fingers of God. Yod, fingers of God, same thing. Okay. Basically, it's two inconjuncts and a sextile. What they mean in your natal chart, this becomes a little bit more advanced in astrology beyond the basics, but they're really important because they tell you a lot about what your soul journey is. And when we see them in the chart, we go, oh, whatever's going to happen, it's meant to be. Whatever is going to happen, it's meant to happen. And we've been talking about that a lot this month because we've been talking about what's on the world point. The world pointers are the 0 cardinal signs. So we have had 0 Aries with Saturn and Neptune sitting there. Now it's just Neptune still sitting there. The moon will have passed out of Cancer into Leo. So now the moon is answering to the sun because the sun rules Leo. And of course, it's getting closer and closer and closer because the new moon is coming up. The fingers of God and the fated energy this week and the eclipse, all of these things point to the same thing, which is these are intense times we're living in. You all feel it because you all are so are sensitive and aware, and you're paying attention. So, what are we thinking about? It's interesting that the terribleness of the last week and the headlines made people become aware of their words and made people think about what they're saying and the impact that it could have. Words are very powerful. So we have the sun and Mercury. That's communication right there, shining really intensely, part of that trine. And we have Pluto. Hollis has been talking about Pluto in Aquarius. Big change, transformation. The other point of the trine is Uranus. We've been talking about Uranus all month. Uranus in Gemini. Surprise a minute. But mostly it's surprise thinking. It's changing in the error realm is always going to be in the mental realm. Maybe people's beliefs change. Wow, wouldn't that be amazing? What if we could finally get what we've talked about forever, sensible gun reform? Whew, wouldn't that be a flippin' miracle? Okay, so um, I'm going to move the chart into Saturday, day before the eclipse, and you're going to see those. Now we have two yods lighting up, and those two now involve, again, the same intent. So the first one, Saturn, Neptune together at the top, and then it's in conjunct Mars and Venus, right? And then the second one has, the second, um,
The first one.
did I go past it?
No, I see it.
Yod 2,
So I
Saturn.
see. Okay. So I see the one yod that's pointing um down at Saturn, which is in uh hold on, Brett, I have to mute because
I got it.
okay, go ahead.
So the second, so we've talked about the first one, which is Saturn and Neptune at the point. Hollis has talked in perfect detail about what Saturn and Neptune represent in conjunct Mars and Venus. The second one is Venus at the top in conjunct, again, Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto, transformation. Pluto is all things under. What have we been seeing with Pluto this last month, and especially that trine the whole time? Kilauea has been going off like crazy, right? The showering of lava coming out of Kilauea has been just wow. So anything that's underneath, and of course the nonstop blather about Jeffrey Epstein and the files and the truth and whatever's underneath, these are the things that get revealed with Pluto. So we have that grand trine that involves Pluto, and then we have the yod that also involves Pluto. We're talking serious transformation and whatever's meant to be. Now, with Venus at the top, pay attention to your relationships. Things could change. Yeah, things could definitely change. That's Saturday. You want to add anything there, Hollis?
What I would say about one thing I want to say about Venus is that while it's in its fall, I would say that like you just want to be real careful that you're taking care of yourself because this is going to maybe put things in a perspective that you didn't understand before. Stay open. I would say that since Mercury is transiting through, it is moving out, it's moving out of Virgo and into Libra. And it does that earlier in the week. So that's good that that will already be done. It'll happen on Thursday. So by the time we get to it on Wednesday, I feel like we'll be navigating a little bit easier in regards to like communicating about relationships and stuff like that. But Mercury in Libra can sometimes leave things unsaid because of a fear of creating conflict and that kind of thing. So I just would be careful about that if that is going on for you. Mercury is a very fast moving planet, and its rulership is Gemini and Virgo. So if you have either of those kinds of strong placements, this will definitely affect you. And as it moves into Libra, I just think that it would improve relationship communication, hopefully, and improve our ability to speak in a way that could help us communicate better in relationships. So I think just try to stay open to that energy. If you tap into the Mercury in Libra, I would be more likely to tap into that kind of energy than to focus in on those inconjuncts, because those inconjuncts are faded, and so there could be some unfortunate happenings, some struggling, but at the same time also some things coming together that will help us fly. And I think that that's what's important. Sometimes bad things happen in order to lift us up so that we can spread our wings. And I think that's really where things get really intense. But with Mars, I'm sorry, but with Mercury moving signs and Venus moving signs this week, I think we're really going to continue to feel those shifts. And then, of course, uh, shoot. Then, of course, we have the equinox and the solar eclipse, which actually happens on Sunday. So I think with that solar eclipse on Sunday, be aware that it's a very rare thing. Like I started out with today, when I started out with the fact that it's a very rare thing to have a solar eclipse, a loss also with the equinox on the same day. That's Sunday. So whatever happens this weekend, John, I'm glad you found us too. And we do this every Monday evening about this time. It's evening for us in the United States, but I'm happy to teach. And if you come here with your chart every week, you will learn. You can ask anyone that's here. They'll tell you they started out knowing nothing and now they know something. So over time, you learn. One of the ways that Brighthawk and I learned was studying astrology. But I want to say that the equinox this weekend and the eclipse on the same day is going to be um, magnificently faded. I will be very interested to see what happens Sunday, Monday. And I think I'm going to do the horoscopes for, I think I'm going to do it for the eclipse, Bright Hawk. I know there's a lot of intensity this week worldwide, but I would also say that that eclipse uh, is going to be particularly powerful for most of us. And if it's not happening to us, it will probably happen to people around us. And I think that's where we need to stay focused.
Yeah. Let's bring up the chart for.
I will, just 1 second.
There we go. For Sunday. So happy equinox. And as we're finishing Virgo season, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago in the broadcast how one of the things that's also kind of rare and special, doesn't happen all the time, is that we've had 2 new moons in Virgo this month. The very beginning of the month, I think it was at 0 degrees Virgo, and now at 29 degrees Virgo, we have a new moon. So you can't bracket that any tighter, any more than that. And so again, there's this faded energy. There's this, one of the things, and Alyssa, especially anybody who has a finger of God, has one of those yods, those inconjuncts. In my chart, I amplify it with the green lines. Not everybody's charts look like that, but it's one of the ways you can find those inconjuncts. It really helps navigate those faded moments, because you're kind of like, what does that mean? It means you have to go with the flow. It means you have to ask yourself, what is the right thing to do here? Because I know what the right thing is. It's not always the easy path. God knows it's not always the easy path. But you know what it is. And when you follow that path, the things that are supposed to happen, that are meant to happen, kind of unfold before you. When we don't live our chart, when we don't fulfill what we know our soul signed up for, when we're kind of ditching out on it, Hollis calls not living your chart, which is true. Some people, you see them living their chart and it's like, wow, your soul's really sticking to the script. There were things you came here to do and by God, you're doing it. Versus somebody who's ditched out on what their to-do list was. And you can feel it. I can feel it. I have family members that I can see are not living their chart. And you kind of go, okay, not my job to judge. I am a Virgo rising, so yeah, I already did. Just be honest. Hollis said it at the beginning. Judge, discern, So Virgo risings, we're good at that, being discerning. Hopefully, we're not too judgy. And I always think what Virgo wants is for everyone to feel lifted up, because we're happy when everybody's happy. So if it feels like, this is good, this is for the greatest good. Look at this happy room of people. We're on track. We did the right thing. Hard, easy, doesn't matter. We did the right thing. So that's kind of what Virgo I don't want to say demands of us, but okay, if that word works for you. This eclipse, of course, we've talked about the sun has been traveling with Mercury. We have the South Node. If you're new and you haven't heard us talk about the South Node, of course, the nodes are what we call the luminaries of the moon. They're the only things in the chart that are actually not represented by some thing. It's represented as a thing. A luminary, in the case of the North Node, we talk about our future and our destiny. We talk about the South Node. We talk about what are we letting go of. Okay, so right now we have the South Node in Virgo. We have the North Node in Pisces. This is where the conversation is, where those placements are for you, what houses they are for you. That's where the conversation is. And all of us are impacted by the same sky, and we all, as souls, signed up for this time. I love that there's a grand trine in air, because everything about this chart is kind of, God, what's going to happen? Come on, that Saturn opposition, we've been looking at that for so long. It's scary. Saturn, Neptune, that whole thing on the world point has been scary. And it's not changing anytime soon. We're in for a ride. We all know it. And we're doing our best. And I'm grateful that you guys have, signed up for astrology and listening to the soul that you listen to Rainbow Soul, because it helped the more of us that are informed, thinking together, the better it can go, right? Then it's a little less, oh my God, just like, we're not going to freak out. We're going to figure out, okay, surf's coming in or surf's going out, right? In this case, we have a new moon. So new moon energy, it's an opportunity as we come into the fall to set intentions, make your wishes, see what it is that you really, really, really want to see happening in your life. See it as already done, and talk to the universe about it, and be willing to be delightfully surprised. That's what I think eclipses ask us to do. Be willing to change, be willing to surf. If you can engage your faith, the universe has usually something beyond what you could imagine. So why not trust the universe knows more than you? I think when we get too scripted in our, I want this, the universe is like, really? That's as big as you can think? Really? So,
Mm.
giving it up to the universe, as Hollis is always saying, knowing the universe is unfolding exactly as it should, and recognizing that these are intense times. So do your practice, do your self care. We talked about Chiron and the healer. It's aspected in this week's chart for sure. Do your self care. That helps you take care of you. We do have a void, of course, moon, but it's just a wee one in the morning. And, if you're up in the middle of the night, if you're one that does well, oh, sorry, no, this one is 8 p.m. to 9:45. So the evening, that's mountain
Mhm.
time. So really, if you're keen to understand the void of course moon, especially if you're a Cancer, and how it affects you, you can go to mooncalendar.astro-seek.com and you put in your time zone and it'll help you understand the void moon as well,
Okay.
especially Cancers.
All right. Well, thank you, Bright Hawk, for that download. I hope that you guys navigate this week in the best of your ability. I'm about to do the horoscopes for everyone for the solar eclipse. So I'm going to feature myself here for a second. Um, why we have to like switch around or something. StreamYard still hasn't figured it out. Anyway, so I'm gonna do like a little horoscope for each sign. So I want to encourage you, if you're really having a hard time, if you're really having a hard time navigate, just be aware you can always book with me at any time. And I'm happy to look at your astrology chart for you. Now, these are just horoscopes. It's not perfect. It's because everybody's chart is unique. I always point this out. Everyone has a unique astrology chart. Everyone has a unique expression of you are a unique expression of the divine. You are a uniquely perfect, perfectly imperfect reflection of the universe, okay? And that's like my little quote that I like to remind you of. And so the first horoscope that I'm going to start with is Aries. Aries, boy, oh boy, you're going through major changes, huge changes in your life, huge changes about who you are and how you identify, how you feel about yourself. And with Saturn moving in and out of your sign, it got to feel intense. And with Neptune going backwards, you're not sure which way is up and you're not sure exactly where you're transforming to or how you're changing, but you're changing. And this solar eclipse will be changing your day-to-day life. Something in your day-to-day life has already started to change. It's changing, but you might actually start to find that there's something there for you, that there's something good about this, that there's something blessed about it. At the same time, it could also feel a little uncomfortable for you. But I think for the most part, it will lead to good things. I believe this solar eclipse for you will help you understand your day to day life in a better way and revisit and sort of transform the way you're expressing that and understanding how your day-to-day life influences your overall life and how all of those days add up to your whole life. So just keep that in mind, Aries. Focus on notice how things might be changing in your day-to-day life or your work or however you spend your days, and this could also have to do with health. So as you're starting to deal with things like that, just allow them to change and accept any blessings that come your way. You could definitely have a blessing in relation directly to this, especially since the solar eclipse is in a sextile to Jupiter in Cancer. And with that happening there, that Jupiter in Cancer is exalted in your house of home. So maybe this is about some things that at home that are getting better. Maybe it's starting to feel a little bit better at home, or something's starting to feel better for you, Aries. Aries, as you settle in, keep going. And in the solar eclipse will be less intense for you, but it's more intense because of the movements of Saturn and Neptune. Okay, so because you have so much going on in Aries right now, there's a lot going on, but you could get kind of a little bit of a break. Okay, this eclipse might literally be a little bit of a break for Aries. Okay, and now going forward, this is for Taurus. Now, Taurus, this is for Taurus sun, moon, and rising. So first of all, I want to say, Taurus, that Uranus is headed back to your sign. So if you're feeling a little anxious about something, or something keeps coming up that you wanted to change that you didn't change and you weren't so sure if you should change it, but you definitely should, you should probably change that. So just be prepared that Uranus is on its way back. But in the meantime, this solar eclipse is also happening in the area of your day-to-day life, Taurus, and this will happen around your work. There could be some shifts there. I will say that, Taurus, you are already in a level of change that's happening for you right now. So be open to those changes, and because the universe is going to push them through whether you want to or not. So I know there's probably something in the back of your mind that you've been avoiding or not wanting to change, maybe about your job or your day-to-day life, that might have to shift. And I know that's scary for you, Taurus, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen really slow for you. So maybe you'll see a way through. Maybe you'll see what could be in benefit during the solar eclipse. I would imagine that you would be able to sort of talk it out, or have some sort of intuition in a way that could help you feel good about it. Okay. So this solar eclipse is happening in your sixth house, but it will unfold slowly for you. So it's not going to traumatize you or anything. I know Taurus is not real big. Taurus rising is not real big on sudden change. So I'm just letting you know, this is kind of your heads up that there could be change headed your way. So try to prepare yourself, especially since Uranus is headed back your way. And so as far as this solar eclipse goes, it's probably just going to be like a, you know what I could do? And you could really come up with a good solution, a problem solving solution, maybe of whatever kept you from changing that thing around your day to day life or your work in the world. Okay. Next will be Gemini. This is Gemini. This is the horoscope for Gemini sun, moon, and rising. Gemini, Uranus is headed backwards out of your chart, trying to give you a little bit of a break, but there's still surprise a minute. So Gemini, stay open, stay present, and keep going forward as this starts to change for you, because this is definitely happening around your children, or your romantic relationships, or your creative babies, is what I would say. So it doesn't always have to be your human babies, like the children you gave birth to. It could be also other creative things that you have made, or your romantic relationships, or whatever you do creatively. Okay. And this is going to be sort of an aha, or maybe people are influencing you from the out, and you may become aware of something, or something like that could be revealed to you, and you could have sort of an aha, or oh, I know how to resolve this, I know what I should do type of thing. And that's really going to happen in the fifth house for you. So this will mean that you will have a resolution to your problem that you've been struggling with around children, or your creative endeavors, or romantic relationships. Okay. The next is Cancer. So this is for Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. Cancer, this is going to have everything to do with your home. You're going to have sort of an aha, or a insight into how you can better balance work and home life, especially. And this solar eclipse will really awaken you to understand why that's important and what role this plays for you this weekend. I think that this will become a very important thing for you. In particular, also I wouldn't be surprised if money came for you, or a new way to make money or something like that, because Jupiter's transiting that second house, especially for Cancer rising. And with the sun and moon conjunct in Virgo, that's really that eclipse that's happening in Virgo is really going to help you solve some problems, help you come to problem solving, which will really be a great blessing for you and a great way to get you moving forward, especially in relation to your home, your parents, or your family of origin, or the home that you live in. All right. Now that's Cancer. This is for Leo. Leo, this is your horoscope for this weekend for the solar eclipse. The solar eclipse is happening in the area of your chart that is in relation to your siblings, to your community, to the people around you, your neighbors, or to communication. This could really awaken you to how you've been handling that and some wellness around there. Maybe there's something that you have to improve to make it a little bit healthier or good for you. Maybe there's something that you haven't been aware of for a while, Leo. This is going to really help you come into an aha about your wellness and about how that feels for you, especially a spiritual awakening. Having like a spiritual awakening that really helps you kind of come to an awareness that, oh, so if I do this, this happens. Okay. And that's going to be really powerful, especially this weekend, Saturday, Sunday. And as you move through that, I just want you to be aware that that solar eclipse is delivering important information to you so that you can take better care of yourself, your neighbors, your siblings, and the people around you. The next horoscope is Virgo. Virgo. This is happening in your sign, Virgo. So this solar eclipse is all about you, and it could very much have to do with money. Money, values, and who you are, and your identity, and how you identify with that. And maybe there's something very important that you need to come to awareness around. Maybe there's something really important that you need to deal with. And this would definitely have to do with money and your identity, particularly the two together and how they're tied together for you. This eclipse could definitely give you sort of an aha or a, oh, that's probably how I should resolve this problem. And so if you're struggling with something, particularly around money, I would suggest that you work to try to resolve it, in particular through whatever comes up this weekend that works for you. So I would also suggest that you take good care of yourself, be aware of your health, because the sun represents vitality, and the eclipse there, it just could make you aware of maybe some health things that you weren't aware of before, or it could reveal something about your health that you needed to know. And so stay awake, stay alert. If something happens, you start feeling something, please go to the ER. Please reach out to your doctor. It's definitely important that if you're a Virgo or a Virgo rising, that you pay attention to your health and your wellness, especially with Venus transiting through there, and Venus is in its fall. This means that there could be some self-sabotage or something else that happens that isn't necessarily good for you. So be careful what you're eating this weekend. Don't drink too much, and take care of yourself. The next is for Libra. Libra, this is for sun, moon, and rising. Libra, this eclipse is going to happen in the unseen world. I wouldn't be surprised if you have some awakening or sort of some sort of like, whoa, okay. some sort of connection to the other side, some sort of awareness of how you transcend through to other dimensions. Okay, so this is really going to awaken Libras are going to really become aware of the invisible things or the unseen things. They could be revealed but only briefly. All right, Libra, especially involving relationships, some things could be revealed, but like I said, only briefly. So make sure you're paying attention on Sunday. What comes through is real. Don't doubt it, Libra. And make sure you pay attention to it and respond to it in a good way. So that way you can be sure to navigate your life even through the unseen things. And remember, if someone else points something out to you, it's probably true, particularly if someone else has something to say about about you, or someone in relationships comes through and says something, or something someone already did say. You've been thinking about it or something like that, Libra. Pay attention to that, harness that, take that inward, and try to apply it in a better way. We know that you want to get better at relationships, and I believe in you. Now, going forward, this is for Scorpio. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. Scorpio, this is going to be happening in your place of influence. Who are the people around you? Who influences you? Who do you know? This is about the people that you know. This is about the people that influence you. So, Scorpio, suddenly some things could come in for you that could really help you, that could support you in a good way, and they could be from the past. So, someone from the past could come through and help you, especially with that, especially if you're a Scorpio rising, because the sun and the moon are eclipsing in the 11th house, which is about people that are that you're connected to. And these people could help transform whatever they're influencing in your life. They could transform how you put yourself out there, or how you are in the world, depending on who they are and what they're doing for you. But it could definitely bring you into your life path, pushing you where you belong, and helping you to understand relationships a little bit better, Scorpio, and helping you to tap into your wellness and how to take care of yourself, and to get better situated in that department, especially with your creative endeavors, romantic relationships, and children, anything that has to do with children, especially how they influence you. Okay. Next is Sagittarius. Sagittarius, this is Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. This eclipse is happening in your house of career. So be aware that something really good around your career could absolutely happen that's going to push you onto good things. Now, this could kind of like maybe take a little bit of extra time. Maybe you're presented with a promotion or something, or a job offer, but the only issue with it is that it maybe takes you a little bit further away from home, or you have to move, or there's something about in relation to home or your parents that maybe doesn't sit with you too well. Well, Sagittarius, I would say to go ahead and take it, because it will put you on the path that you belong on. It will go ahead and push you where you belong. It will help you transform into a better spot, into a better space, and it is meant for you. So especially since it's happening in this eclipse, it is in your highest in your highest interest, because Virgo is usually about wellness, and we all know that the work we do in the world and how much money we make and things like that are all part of our wellness. It takes all the pieces parts, not just money, not just the job, not just, it's more like all the pieces parts come together to help you feel better, right? So this eclipse is happening directly in your house of career. So don't be surprised if you have some changes there. It's not necessarily bad. It could absolutely be excellent changes in a good way that help you expand and help you transform to the next stage in your life. The next horoscope is for Capricorn. This is for Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. A Capricorn, this is very much happening in your house of higher learning, education. understanding how education works, and really expanding your brain going forward. You might be surprised at what you're learning. You might have a spiritual awakening. You might go back to school, or something might shift in school, or maybe your attitude shifts in regards to school. Maybe you get better at learning, or you finally understand a concept or something like that. Especially with Virgo there, it really helps you get into the details and the nitty gritty of education, and understanding how this expands you, and how this helps you expand in the world, and helps you feel so much stronger in life. And with Virgo there, with the sun and the moon together, traveling through the ninth house, this is very much about, also could be about law. Okay, so you could learn something about law, or something could come down about law. I'm not too worried about the law for you. If you are having a court case or something, I would actually say this is probably a good thing. Whatever comes out of it is probably putting you on your life path. Okay, so Capricorn, grab a hold of that, because everything you have is in a trine to this eclipse, probably, especially if you have it in late degree Capricorn. It would be in a trine to this eclipse, so it would definitely be a blessing for you. The next horoscope is for Aquarius. Aquarius, this is for your sun, moon, and rising. Aquarius, what is it about other people's money? This eclipse is happening in your 8th house. Shadow, other people's money. And you may also find that there's some taboo topics that coming up that you didn't really want to talk about, and now you're suddenly talking about it. Maybe there's some things about astrology, or the occult, or anything else like tarot, or anything like that. Those kinds of topics could come up. But this eclipse is really going to awaken you to something that's really needed to come out. And with Pluto in your sign, Pluto's really been bringing some major transformations, major changes for you. But you might feel a little bit of a power dynamic, or a power control. Try not to hold too strongly to trying to control the situation. Try to let go. Try to allow it to unfold exactly as it's supposed to. Try to allow the universe to speak to you. It will be easier that way, instead of trying to control how the universe reflects you. Because Aquarius, you can't control the way the universe is. The universe is going to do what it's going to do. And then you're going to have to learn how to navigate that. Okay, Aquarius? And I know things have been difficult for you with Pluto going in and out. But this eclipse will probably be a blessing. It will push you in the direction you need to be, and help you understand everything from relationships better, and also to understand your own life path. The next horoscope is for Pisces. This is for Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. Pisces, this is going to happen in your house of relationships. This eclipse is going to really erupt in your house of relationships. It's going to get really strong there. So if you've been having a hard time with somebody, there could be an understanding this weekend. You could come to some sort of understanding this weekend with that person, some sort of clarity, some sort of understanding with each other that's in a positive way. So stay open for that. Stay open for that relationship to find its way. And I know it's been frustrating recently for you, especially Pisces, because your identity is pulling on you to express yourself the way you are, and to find boundaries, and to set them. And it's been really difficult, I know. And with Saturn retrograde in there, your boundaries might just fall to the side for a bit. And sometimes that happens for you, Pisces, but that doesn't mean you have to give up. Eventually, Saturn will go forward again, and that will change everything for you. But in the meantime, this eclipse in Virgo is really going to bring you a blessing and some good luck in relationships, and really put you on your life path in regards to relationships. All right. Whew. That is a lot. Thank you, Bright Hawk. All right.
I just want to go.
Thanks for sharing it. We appreciate you. Yes, even on imperfect days, you are perfect. That's right, John. Everything happens for a reason, and no doubt the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. Okay, so that's what I always try to remind myself. Hey, I've had a really intense time too. I have a Virgo. This whole eclipse has happened directly on my sun, directly opposite my sun. It is an incredibly intense time for me. The placements in my astrology chart have been over the top, and I would say that I I have really had a range of emotions. I keep trying to push myself out of depression and sadness, and what I would say to that is that when the world feels like it's falling apart and everything else is falling apart, because I'm sure there's people out there that kind of feel like that not only is the world falling apart, but maybe your personal world is also falling apart. If that's happening, just try to emotionally step back and witness what's happening and see if you can make sense of it, or see what the universe. And sometimes if I don't know what to do next, I'll literally say, okay, universe, what do I do next? And now for the tarot reading. Speaking of tarot, I have to use the deck without the astrology, John. I don't know if he's still here. He said he was leaving. So um so I don't use the deck that has the astrology because it's a French deck.
So while you shuffle, I'll go ahead and fill in a little bit. Thank you, John, for mentioning the connection between tarot and astrology. And hopefully you're still here. And if not, you'll catch it later in the recording. This is definitely where we demonstrate how tarot and astrology work together in some mysterious way. How the card readings that Hollis does at the end of our podcast every time have this magical way of pointing back towards what we've been talking about, but through the language of tarot. So this is also something you can book with Hollis. They do tarot readings as well as astrology charts, and whatever helps you and navigating your life and whatever questions you may have. Sometimes the tarot and sometimes the astrology are both very revealing and trying to help us sort of guide our path, right? Okay.
All right, so here we go. Here's the first card, which is your past. This has to do with your support system. I think we got this card last week. So this is saying, hey, don't forget about your support system. You have people that want to support you, that love you, that want to be there for you. So don't be afraid. The universe is trying to remind you to reach out to your support people. And I'm just going, okay, I'm doing my best. I'm not always sure what to ask for, especially when certain situations are happening. So this is really what this is about. This is about getting support from your friends or your support system, whatever that might look like. And now this is about not seeing things as black and white, right? Now, this being the King of Wands, this person is very much seeing things and being in a very black and white world, right? And it is very much about also being independent and free. And that's important. That's an important part of who you are. And this is a reminder of that freedom, but also not seeing that freedom as black and white. And that there are different forms of that and different ways it can be expressed. So also be aware of any rebels in your life. Alyssa, you're dealing with your kids, and I'm thinking about your kids. And anyway, any rebels or anything like that you're dealing with, this also would bring their energy up, because the King of Wands is very much about your intentions and what you intend to do and how important that is. And then going forward, this is the Hanged Man. This is about a choice. This is about having to make a choice that has to do with which way will I go. That's why the Hanged Man is sort of like, I'm not sure what to do. There's an apple and an egg in their hands. See? And what really helps me when I get in situations like this is I always say, you know what? You don't have to make a decision right now. You don't have to decide right now. Just let maybe the universe will make the decision for you. And so this is going to be coming up later this week and next week. So this is the future. This is going to point us forward, reminding us that we don't have to make a decision now. So, like, even if you know what needs to change, you don't have to change it right away. Okay. So, this is the past. This is about your support system. Make sure you tap into that going forward this week, because there could be some moments that you really need that support system. Maybe you're seeing things too black and white and you need to see the nuances of things, or you need to help liberate yourself from that rebellious energy. Maybe there's a part of you that wants to push back or whatever it is. So try not to tap too hard into that. And going forward, be aware you'll probably have two choices. And just remember, you don't have to make that choice right away. You can wait to make that choice. I always want to tell transgender people that too. If you notice this is a transgender person, there's no rush. I'm 50 years old. You're going to be here for a long time. And there's no need to make any choices that could impact your entire life right away. So just don't make it. Just wait until the universe shows you, until you're absolutely sure. There's no need to make the choice immediately. All right. So,
wow. I'm just going to say, wow. Whew. The Hangman, there's three cards that probably make everybody shudder. The Tower card, the Hangman, and the Devil. So when we see those cards, it's good to pay attention. Not with fear, but with, care. With care, for sure, with care. In any case, thanks for being on this journey with us. We send you tons of love. We really appreciate you. You guys ask really great questions. I hope you have a great week. I hope it's exactly what you need it to be. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for listening, for subscribing, for sharing this, for liking. We really appreciate you guys. We really enjoy doing Rainbow Soulstrology. And thank you for listening, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars. Take care and have a great week.
bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks so much for spending time with us this week. We hope you're feeling more connected to the cosmic energies in your life and what works for you. We send you lots of love on your journey. If you enjoyed today's show, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps reach more people who could use some cosmic guidance. Hey, and don't forget to share this episode with anyone who might need or want to hear it. And we love hearing from you, so drop us a comment and let us know what resonated most for you, or if you'd like to hear something new next week. Your questions and feedback make us better. Want to join us live? Subscribe! Catch us on Facebook and YouTube. And that's where you can ask real-time questions and be part of the Rainbow Soulstrology community while it happens. Until next week, trust your intuition. Follow your inner wisdom. And remember, the stars are always supporting your journey. Thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars.